Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends here. Thanks for joining me today for yet another COMC rummage. Got hundreds of cards backlogged here that I was fortunate enough to score on COMC. They've streamed in over various shipments over the last few years, and so basically just went into my to-be-posted box or boxes of COMC loot and grabbed about a dozen cards here. And as per usual, we'll just thumb through these and talk a little bit about each one and sort of my rationale behind picking them up or some facts about the cards. So I'll come right out of the gate with a hockey card here. Love this one. So the season just started, the NHL season here. As I said, planning a lot more hockey content for throughout the course of the season. But very happy to start with this Artemi Panarin Upper Deck canvas. So I've talked many times about these since I started this channel, particularly in the early going. But I love these inserts. They go back over 10 years now. Very popular, great candid photographs that sort of remind me of like Stadium Club type photos on the baseball side of the house. And this is a nice Panarin here. He's an underrated player, I think. Finishes, typically in the top 5 or at least top 10 in scoring frequently during his few years in the league. I guess maybe not underrated. That may not be the right word. I think I tend to be one of those people that tosses that around a little too lightly, but maybe a guy whose card prices don't really line up with his skill level in terms of, his cards are relatively cheap. So happy to add that one. Always on the lookout for canvas for my Hockey Z folio. Here's another one of these 71-72 basketball cards. So these have just kind of by chance been turning up a little bit recently. Just kind of slowly working on a set. There aren't a lot of huge rookies in this release, and it's a relatively small set, so it seemed attainable. So I figured if I'm going to go after a vintage basketball card set, which sounded kind of fun, maybe I would try these. I like the bubble lettering here. These are sort of a close cousin to the hockey release from this same year from Topps. And as is always the case with these, I don't know anything about the subject. I've never heard of Ollie Taylor, but I love the multicolored basketball back there. I think that may be an ABA basketball, but correct me if I'm wrong on that, which I very well may be. But either way, cool addition to that slow burn set pursuit. Speaking of slow burn set pursuits, here's one that I have a little bit of a backstory on. So this is from the inaugural Gypsy Queen set, which came out in 2011. And I actually don't like Gypsy Queen as a brand. I've kind of soured on it over the years. They're some of my least favorite cards. I never chase them out. However, I do have a soft spot for these bordered parallels, these sort of like 3D border. And I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but the photograph in here is sort of inset within this border, and there's a little bit of a ridge to give this card like a 3D effect. I believe there were 100 of these bordered parallels in this inaugural Gypsy Queen set. And I did set out, all the way back in 2011, and I laugh with a few of my hobby buddies about the number of projects that I have, but I did set out to complete a set of 100 of these. And so David Price here of the Rays is just a need in that pursuit. It's been a long time since I kind of tallied those up or saw where I was at, but happy to add one anyway. And I'll have to, maybe that'll kind of reignite my quest to complete that parallel set. Next up, we have a Star Wars card, and this is a parallel that I've shown off a couple times on the channel before, but I love some acetate. As you know, if you've tuned into the channel with any frequency, big Star Wars fan, and so the Star Wars high-tech release year in and year out is definitely a winner for me. I've been working on these blue rainbow parallels, which are numbered out of 99. It's a little tough to make out. This is actually copy 99 of 99, so the last Anakin Skywalker off the print run. Future Darth Vader, so kind of a cool one there. Not one of the more aesthetically pleasing cards from that release, but anytime I see those for like $1 or less, I tend to just grab them regardless of who the subject is. And that was definitely the case here with this Skywalker. We're going to stick with non-sport for a minute. This is another small set that I'm working on. The 2015 Upper Deck Dinosaurs release. And I'm trying to work on this 42 card 3D insert set. This features, the same lenticular type technology as like Kellogg's cards or the recent Topps on Demand 3D baseball releases that have come out for the past few years, and that is an Edmontosaurus. I'm guessing this is maybe one that was, found frequently on the West Coast over by Edmonton, maybe, based on the name, but a pretty neat set. You can get those still for really, really cheap. So if you are a dinosaur fan, or maybe you have a young kid who's a dinosaur fan, you could do a lot worse than grabbing a few of those. There are some short printed cards at the end of the checklist that might demand a couple bucks or a few bucks. But most of these you can get for pocket change, and they look really, really cool in person if non-sport is your thing. We got a couple shiny Red Sox cards here. So back in the day, I was way more of a Red Sox team collector, I would say, than I am now. Meaning I would suck up basically any Red Sox card that I didn't already have, chased all the parallels, and that is how I ended up with this 2015 Bowman Mike Napoli. This is like a purple ice, maybe. I honestly don't know for sure, but it's somewhat scarce at 50 copies. And of course, Napoli was, part of a World Series championship team, and so it's kind of a neat card in that respect. And I like the effect going on in the background. I'm a fan of purple. This is an example of the type of card I probably wouldn't buy today. Chances are I picked this one up 4 or 5 years ago, and it's been sitting in my, COMC to be posted box since. I don't obsessively chase, Red Sox parallels anymore. There's just way too much out there. It's like a full-time job keeping up with it. And these days, it's not really how I collect. I've changed over time, but I'm still happy to have that one. Can't really complain about a card numbered to 50 featuring your favorite team. Next up, one of my absolute favorite inserts that I've shown so many times now in different forms on the channel, but I love atomic cards or sapphire, cracked ice, whatever you want to call them. That type of effect is my favorite parallel. And from the first ever Topps Chrome Sapphire baseball set in 2016, we have this nice Koji Yuihara. And of course, this inaugural Sapphire set was limited to 250 sets released. So, not an impossible card, but a pretty nice one for a team collector to have. And they're getting a little bit tough now. Those early, first 2-3 sets, as far as Sapphire goes, they're kind of drying up. So again, that's one that I bought just like the Napoli, probably a couple of years back or longer. And I'm just kind of getting around to showcasing it now. Here's another one from that same 71 basketball set that we looked at. This is a Lamar Green. I want to say this is a dupe. So this card looks very familiar to me, and I think I may have shown another copy of it earlier in the channel. I'll find out for sure when I file these away here after completing the video. Not a big deal if it is. I know that I paid less than $1 for this. It's in pretty good shape, and if I have to trade it away or send it out, that's not going to be an issue. I'll have no problem finding a home for this card. Got a hockey card next here. This is one that is a second year card. So I have an upcoming series I'm planning on doing where I look at second year cards. They're a passion of mine. I think, the rookie card is rightfully so, very well respected in the hobby community. But people tend to overlook second year cardboard, and there are some really interesting things about second year cards in a lot of cases. And they're often many, many, many times cheaper than the rookie card counterparts. So this is a second year Pasternak, and he's a pretty amazing player. If you're not a hockey fan, he can really score with, amazing skill. He's one of the better snipers in the league. He's only been around 5 or 6 years, so it's too early to say if he's on a Hall of Fame track or anything like that. But he's certainly one of the better players in the league, and his Young Guns rookie that came out the year before this sells for hundreds of dollars. If you can find one or when you can find one. This second year card, thanks to the wonders of EPAC promotion between Upper Deck and COMC, I picked up for 35 cents. And that was within the last year, after things have gone nuts. So yeah, you cannot go wrong at that price point. I think I did buy a few copies of this just because it was so cheap, but there's one of them anyway. We got another baseball card here, and then a non-sport and a hockey to close it out. So this is a nice one for the Xander collection. Love the X-Fractor every year. Love the photograph on his 2017 Topps card, this horizontal shot of him throwing towards first with the Fenway Faithful in the background. And it doesn't take much to get me to pull the trigger on a Xander. Really always looking to increase my Xander count, working on actively tracking everything that I have on that front. I think I'm well up over 200 cards, but I've barely, cataloged maybe even half of what I own or less. So looking forward to seeing where I end up with that, when all is said and done. But that's a really nice one there, and a cheap pickup for sure. Got another Star Wars card here. This is from like a black and white release they did. And this is the scene where this spy, I guess here on Tatooine, is informing the stormtroopers of the location of Luke and Obi-Wan and the droids. So kind of a memorable scene. I like the stormtrooper as a character, and just thought this is a nice card to slide into my non-sport / Star Wars Z folio, which I do have one of those, believe it or not. And again, that was like less than $1. And then the final card to close things out is an O-Pee-Chee WHA card. So big fan of the rival league that existed to the NHL throughout the better part of the 1970s. Love the O-Pee-Chee sets that pay tribute to that league. And I'm always on the lookout for, opportunity to pick up one or more of those for a cheap coin. And was successful here with one from the 1976-77 O-Pee-Chee WHA release featuring Peter Sullivan. And I don't know a lot about Peter. There is a little bit of a surface wrinkle on this card that you can see going up from his hairline to the top of the card. Doesn't really ruin it for me. This was, again, available for less than $1, and these aren't all that easy to come by. Aside from that wrinkle, it presents pretty well. And what I like about it is the Jets are one of the teams that actually survived the WHA and were part of the merger into the NHL for the 1979-80 season. So I'll really scoop up any of the O-Pee-Chee WHA cards that I don't already own if the condition is right and the price is right. And that's basically the rationale behind this one. So there you have it. A nice mix of baseball, basketball, hockey, Star Wars, and dinosaurs. So typical randomness that you see in my COMC selections. Hope you saw something you liked here, and I'll certainly be back in the near future with some more sports card content. Take care.